Welcome, everyone, to vpod.ai. This deep dive is sponsored by Stonefly, your trusted solution provider and advisor in enterprise storage, backup disaster recovery, hyper-converged VMware, Hyper-V, Proxmox cluster, AI servers, a turnkey security appliance, public and private cloud. Check out stonefly.com for more info.
Okay, so let's unpack this today. We're diving into something that honestly sounds incredibly simple. Something you probably do every single day, walking. But with a specific tweak that research suggests can unlock some pretty significant health benefits, especially, for your heart.
Yeah, we're talking about something called Japanese walking, or more formally, interval walking training. You'll see it called IWT.
IWT.
And our mission today really is to understand what this IWT actually is, how this specific structure, this pattern, works its magic compared to just, well, regular walking.
And why it might be such a practical, powerful tool that you listening might want to consider adding to your routine.
So interval walking training. Okay, the name has interval training in it.
Yeah.
And many of us, we hear that and think, high-intensity workouts, HIT maybe.
Right, like intense bursts.
Yeah, but the walking part suggests something gentler, different. What exactly is IWT?
That's a great point. It was developed by researchers in Japan, and it absolutely uses the principle of intervals. But like you said, it applies it to walking.
Okay.
The key difference, especially when you compare it to something like high-intensity interval training, or HIIT, is that it's much, much lower impact. It's designed for really broad accessibility.
So less jumping around, less sprinting.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Think less intense strain, more, well, structured walking. Walking with a purpose, but still walking.
Okay, let's just dig into that difference with HII a little more. HIE pushes intensity really high, short bursts, near max effort, right?
Typically, yes. You get great benefits, can burn a lot of calories maybe in less time.
Maybe higher strain, higher risk for some people.
Yeah.
How does IWT handle the intensity part differently?
Precisely. HIIT can carry a higher injury risk, depending on the activity and the person, of course. IWT, it deliberately dials down that peak intensity.
Dials it down how?
The fast intervals, they're at a moderate level, not an all-out sprint. This makes it incredibly safe and accessible for, well, almost anyone, regardless of age or current fitness level.
Okay.
It's really about finding that kind of intensity sweet spot, but within walking.
Got it. So lower perceived intensity, lower impact, much wider accessibility. That makes sense. So what does this sweet spot protocol actually look like? If someone wants to try this Japanese walking, what are the actual steps?
Right, the standard protocol, the one from the original research, it's quite specific, but actually pretty easy to follow.
Okay.
You basically alternate between 3 minutes of fast walking.
3 minutes fast. Okay, define fast here. We're not talking Olympic speed walking, I assume.
No, definitely not. Fast walking here means aiming for around, say, 70% of your peak aerobic capacity.
70%. How do I know what that feels like without lab equipment?
Yeah, good question. For most people, you don't need to measure it precisely. A really good rule of thumb is the talk test.
The talk test.
Right. You're walking briskly enough that you're breathing noticeably harder, and you could probably only speak maybe a few words before needing to catch your breath.
Okay, so puffing a bit, can't hold a full conversation, got only a few words. And then the slow walking, what's that like?
The slow walking is your recovery. That's down around 40% of peak aerobic capacity, basically just a comfortable, relaxed pace. You should be able to talk normally quite easily during this part.
Okay, makes sense. So recap. 3 minutes, fast breathing harder, only a few words possible, then immediately followed by 3 minutes, slow, comfortable pace. Can chat easily.
Exactly.
How many times do you repeat that cycle, that 3 fast, 3 slow block?
The minimum recommendation coming from those original studies is 5 sets of those intervals.
5 sets, so 5 fast, 5 slow.
Yep, which brings you to a total of 30 minutes of walking, 5 by 3 minutes fast, plus 5 by 3 minutes slow, 15 plus 15 equals 30 minutes.
30 minutes total, okay? And how often should someone aim to do this routine? Every day?
The recommendation is 5 days per week.
5 days a week. 30 minutes total each time, broken into these 3-minute fast-slow blocks. That structure, it feels very achievable.
It really does, and that probably links directly to the science behind why it seems to work so well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's get into that. This is where the deep dive really starts. You mentioned the original compelling study, Japanese researchers.
That's the one. It involved over 200 adults, and their average age was around 63. So not super young athletes.
Right, a more typical older adult population.
Exactly. And they directly compared this specific IWT protocol, the 3 fast, 3 slow, 30 mins, 5 days a week, to another group doing traditional, continuous, moderate intensity walking, like just going for a steady 30-minute walk.
Okay, so a head-to-head comparison. What did they find? Which one came out on top?
The results were pretty striking, actually. The IWT group, the interval walkers, showed superior results compared to the traditional continuous walkers.
Superior. Not just different, but better.
Better, yeah, for improving a significant number of key health markers.
Okay, tell me more. What specific health benefits showed greater improvement with IWT?
Well, they saw greater improvements in blood pressure,
Okay,
in
huge.
blood glucose levels,
Also huge, especially considering diabetes risk.
body mass index, or BMI,
Weight management, yeah.
aerobic capacity, which is basically your overall cardiovascular fitness level,
Makes sense.
and interestingly, even measures of strength, which in this context they use as an indicator of stability and balance.
Wow. Okay, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight, fitness, and stability. For a population with an average age of 63, that last one, strength and stability, that's massive. Thinking about preventing falls, maintaining independence.
It really is a big deal. And what's fascinating here, I think, is that the benefits weren't just, slightly better. IWT consistently showed better outcomes across these really crucial metabolic and fitness markers compared to just walking at a steady pace.
Even if the total time spent walking was the same 30 minutes.
Exactly. Even if the time, and maybe even the overall estimated effort across the whole session, felt similar.
So it's really not just about the amount of time you spend walking, but the way you walk within that time that seemed to make the difference. What do we know about why? Why does this interval structure, even at just a moderate intensity, seem to pack more punch?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Research points towards some really interesting physiological adaptations happening.
Like what?
Well, think about it. Alternating between that moderate fast pace and the slower recovery pace might stimulate your body's systems, like your cardiovascular system and your muscles, differently than just a continuous effort does.
How so?
Those short bursts of faster walking, they challenge your systems, right? They prompt them to adapt, to become more efficient, maybe improving things like mitochondrial function, how your cells produce energy, or maybe capillary density in the muscles, which helps with oxygen delivery. And then, crucially, that recovery phase allows for a partial recovery before the next challenge hits.
So it's like these little repeated signals. Work a bit harder, followed by, okay, catch your breath. And that pattern sends a stronger message to your body to improve compared to just cruising along steadily.
That seems to be the idea, yes.
Right.
Even if that steady cruise is also at a moderate intensity, it's about prompting those specific adaptations related to, say, how your body processes glucose, improving blood flow, enhancing your muscles' ability to use oxygen.
Right.
Which, collectively lead to those better results in blood sugar, blood pressure, and overall fitness. It's really leveraging the power of variation.
That deeper why is really compelling. It makes intuitive sense. And you mentioned something earlier about the original study having incredible adherence. People actually stuck with it.
Yes. That's another really remarkable finding. In a follow-up analysis looking at a much larger group over time, something like 95% of the subjects were able to stick with the IWT protocol long-term.
95%. That's almost unheard of in exercise studies, isn't it? People usually drop off.
It really is an incredibly high adherence rate. And it speaks volumes, I think, about how accessible and, importantly, sustainable this approach feels to people in the real world.
Yeah, 95% suggests it's not some miserable grind that you dread doing. It's something people can actually integrate into their lives week after week.
Precisely. And look, this isn't just based on that one, albeit foundational, study. There's been more research since then. A very recent review, just from 2024, looked at the whole body of research on IWT.
And what did that recent review find? Did it confirm the benefits?
It absolutely did. It confirmed that IWT's health benefits are pretty well established now, not just in healthy middle-aged and older adults, but also specifically showing benefits for individuals with metabolic conditions like type 2 diabetes.
Okay, tell us a bit more about that 2024 review, especially what it said for people with type 2 diabetes. That's a huge group who could potentially benefit.
Right. The review specifically highlighted that for individuals with type 2 diabetes, IWT was superior to continuous walking training.
Superior again.
Yes, superior even when that continuous walking was matched for the same energy expenditure and the same time duration.
Wow.
For improving physical fitness, body composition, and importantly, glycemic control managing blood sugar.
Okay, so let me get this straight. For someone managing type 2 diabetes, just changing how they walk, adding these 3-minute faster intervals within their walk could lead to better blood sugar control than walking steadily for the same amount of time and effort.
That's what the evidence strongly suggests, yes. It really underscores the effectiveness of this specific interval structure.
God, it's a powerful takeaway,
Yeah.
just changing the pattern.
It is.
Okay, so for someone listening right now, maybe thinking, all right, I walk already, or I need to start walking more. And this sounds interesting, maybe doable. What are some practical tips to get started safely and effectively?
Great question. First thing, and honestly, we can't stress this enough, always check with your doctor before starting any new exercise routine. Especially if you have any underlying health conditions, get the green light first.
Absolutely. Safety first.
Right.
Once they've got the okay,
Then the key is really to start smart and listen to your body.
start smart. What does that look like in practice with IWT? Does it mean I have to hit that 30 minutes 5 days a week right away?
No, definitely not. That's the target, the recommendation from the studies, but you don't have to jump straight there, especially if you're, new to structured exercise or maybe coming back after a break.
So dial it back initially.
Exactly. Set attainable goals. Maybe you start with shorter intervals, perhaps just 1 minute fast, 3 minutes slow, or maybe you do fewer sets, start with just 15 or 20 minutes instead of 30.
Okay.
Choose a starting point that feels manageable for your current fitness level, and then plan to build up gradually over time.
Progress over perfection. Don't feel pressured by the full numbers on day one.
Absolutely. And remember that talk test for figuring out the fast intervals. Breathing hard enough, you can only say a few words.
Right.
A simple way to kind of ease into the 3-minute fast intervals is to start your walk at your regular pace for a few minutes, just warm up. Then pick up the pace to that few words intensity, but maybe only hold it for 20 or 30 seconds to start.
Oh, okay. Just short bursts initially.
Yeah, then go back to your slow, comfortable pace for a minute or two. Repeat that cycle a few times. As you get fitter and more comfortable, you gradually increase the duration of those faster bursts, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute, and so on, until you're doing the full 3 minutes.
That makes it seem much less daunting. Start low, build slowly, get the hang of the feeling. What else should people keep in mind? Any gear needed?
Well, the beauty is you don't need much, but definitely wear supportive, comfortable walking shoes. Good shoes make a huge difference for comfort and consistency and help prevent blisters or foot pain.
Good point. Don't try this in flip-flops.
Please don't. And always, listen to your body. If you feel any sharp pain, real discomfort, or maybe dizziness, slow down or just stop for the day. It's not about pushing through pain. It's about consistent, sustainable effort over time.
Comfort and safety are key to sticking with it. Right.
Exactly. And one more thing that can be really helpful, especially for motivation, is tracking your sessions.
How so?
Just keeping a simple log, a little notebook, or use a fitness tracker or an app. Note down when you walked, for how long, maybe how many intervals you did. It helps you see your progress, stay consistent, and honestly, it feels good to look back and see how far you've come.
Yeah, seeing that progress can be a real motivator. Okay, so to summarize the getting started, check with your doctor, start with attainable goals, use the talk test for intensity, maybe start with shorter, fast bursts and build up, wear good shoes, listen to your body stop at pain, and maybe track your progress.
That covers it perfectly. It sounds like something almost anyone who can walk could adapt to their own level.
And presumably, once someone works up to that recommended 30 minutes, 5 days a week, they're hitting the general physical activity guidelines.
Absolutely. The general public health guideline is for 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity aerobic activity. Doing IWT for 30 minutes, 5 days a week meets exactly that target.
But potentially with bonus benefits.
Potentially with those superior benefits we talked about, thanks to that specific interval structure. It truly is a fantastic way, whether you're looking to start a new regimen or maybe just enhance your current walking routine. It's adaptable for nearly any fitness baseline.
It really is pretty amazing when you think about it.
Yeah.
That structuring something as basic as every day is walking, just putting this simple pattern on it, can have such profound research-backed benefits across so many important health markers: heart health, blood sugar, weight, fitness, even stability.
It really is a testament to how smart, consistent effort, even moderate effort structured well, can make a really significant difference to your health.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into IWT, maybe here's a thought for everyone listening to ponder.
Yeah.
Consider how integrating simple, structured variations, like these specific walking intervals we discussed, into even the most everyday activities. Your walk to the mailbox, walking the dog, a stroll in the park.
Yeah.
How might that unlock unexpected, significant health benefits that go far beyond just, getting your 10,000 steps in?
Yeah, think about the hidden potential lying within that familiar rhythm of just putting one foot in front of the other. What happens if you play with that rhythm a little?
Something to think about on your next walk. Before you go, just a quick final note about our sponsor, Stonefly. If you're dealing with data storage and protection needs, they're offering a 100 TB immutable and air-gapped SSO NAS for $8,995. You can find more details at stonefly.com.